Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Matt and John Make a Podcast. We are a lot of things to discuss this week. Matt and I had a wonderful experience at AEW Dynamite at the Pearson Event Center in Pittsburgh. We're going to touch on that. There's some Spider-Man stuff that Matt and I are going to discuss. We're going to be
very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. We're also going to be talking some baseball news, some things going on with the Pirates. They have a new president of operations. We're going to touch on that.
Or you are.
Well. Oh yeah,
I have my conflict of interest.
And also talking about the World Series, wrestling, and other things going on. But Matt, I'll let you lead off here with the Spider-Man stuff. You found some interesting reports and rumors here.
I being on Facebook, I've seen some news stories, and everything on Facebook is true. So
absolutely,
yes. So I had some skepticism at my own. I had some skepticism. I don't know what I was trying to say here, but. And I tried to look up an article right before our recording just to double check what I saw. And cosmicbooknews cosmicbook.news, this website, was credited as a source in another article, so I went to this source, and the title is Spider-Man Secret Wars Multiverse Rumored with Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire. Excuse me. And so you read that, it looks very that doesn't seem to be true. But reading into it, could be possible. So pretty much. It's saying here Marvel and Sony want to create some sort of Spider-Man Secret Wars multiverse. That storyline, and again, it would use Holland, Garfield, and Maguire, and Tom Hardy's Venom. Now, again, this is all rumors. But the plan right now is for Holland to appear in Venom 3. Not the second one, but the third one. And then apparently Carnage could be featured as well. Now it's saying isn't Woody Harrelson playing Carnage? You probably know better than I do.
I believe that
look that up.
Yeah, I'll look that up.
Now, this rumor is saying if Kevin Feige is producing the movies, that the meeting between Spider-Man and Venom will feature Tom Holland.
And yes, Woody Harrelson is playing Carnage.
Right. Then the movie is not going to be titled Venom 3 because Marvel does not like using villains standalone movies.
Right.
Go back. There has not been one. And that the previous two Venom movies, one and future two, will not be part of the MCU. So they'll still use Hardy, but 1 and 2 will have no effect in the MCU. And then Venom won't be a villain, but as it says here, an anti-hero.
Which I'm fine with, and just to keep their continuity consistent, I think that's probably the best way to go right now. So.
Now, if Feige isn't producing the movie,
which I would find extremely hard to believe,
it's saying Holland would still be used, but will be a Spider-Man from a different universe with no reference to the MCU.
I would probably hate that.
Now, it says how the Tom Holland Spider-Man and Venom meet is through the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Garfield and Maguire will play into things.
Right.
Now, so we'll see if that happens. So that's pretty much like this is all rumors. This kind of just sounds almost made up. And there's three YouTube videos sourced in this article. I didn't watch them yet. I may have to just to see if people are credible. But this article continues saying that the MCU is moving toward a Spider-Man multiverse and Secret Wars storyline, and that they want a series of Secret War movies and TV spin-offs. Now, it says here, in 2015, Marvel Comics published Secret Wars events, as well as Battle World, which is said to be what the MCU will be adapting. So there's additional details that Mephisto, if I'm saying that right, will be unleashing hell on earth and the Marvel zombies and the spirits of the vengeance. That's a terrible sentence. And it claims the series will air on Hulu and will be dark and rated R. So we'll have to see about that. I would assume it would be. I don't think it would be on like the Disney Plus.
I would assume, imagine.
But Hulu is Disney. They're both together. So
I also read something earlier this morning that supposedly Jon Jon Bernthal, who played as the Punisher on the Netflix series, supposedly he is going to be coming back, and that Marvel is going to be picking that series back up, and there's also been rumors of Daredevil and such also being part now. I'm not sure if they would be part of the Disney Plus, or if they would put all that on Hulu, which there's been all kinds of rumors that for Hulu that would be a lot of their adult content, the more edgier rated R stuff, which kind of makes sense. So I mean, I'm hoping that's kind of where they're going. I mean, I'm a huge Jon Bernthal fan. Like that, there was probably not a more perfect casting for that character, in my opinion. Like just like the intensity, just the stuff that man brought out of that character was just incredible. I mean, like I really don't know who could have played maybe a better Punisher outside of maybe you think of a Keanu Reeves or something like that. He I think would have been interesting as well. So yeah, Matt, do you have any more news there?
Yeah, there's more to this article.
Okay, all right.
And it also says, it continues that Doctor Doom, Galactus will be involved, as well as Mandarin and Red Skull. And that the new Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, coming out in a couple years, is involved, and it would involve how these different universes come together. And then it says back in August that there were rumors of the Secret War movies, and then in Battle World, as it said, Doctor Doom takes over Europe, Mandarin, Asia, and Red Skull, U.S., and that the Annihilation Wars had to be happening in the middle of all of this. This article, where I'm getting this, will be linked below in the description, so you can read it yourself and do your own, have your own opinions. I'm just reading some of these comments in the article. So yeah, that's interesting. To say the least, I will believe it when I see it.
Well, yeah.
Unless it's it's confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah. Until they officially announce that, I'm not gonna really take it seriously. So.
But it's very interesting to say the least.
Absolutely, and that app drops in 2 weeks here. So
holy crap!
Right. So so that's gonna be pretty damn interesting once that rolls around here. Okay, on to some sports now. Some pretty big Pittsburgh Pirates news that like Mr. Matt can't really speak on, but I will
for the sake of my job.
For the sake of his job, but I will briefly touch on this. So the Pittsburgh Pirates parted ways with their longtime president Frank Coonley, who I believe had been on the job for around 12 seasons or so, give or take. Basically, he parted ways, and supposedly he's taking a position back in the league office under Commissioner Rob Manfred. Now it was reported by Dejan Kovacevic of DK PittsburghSports.com that taking his place would be former chief operating officer of the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I could also be wrong about this. Jason Mackey of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette might have also have been first on this, but basically they are hiring officially a new president on like Monday, and supposedly, and this was the bigger shocker to me, owner Bob Nutting is going to actually speak to the press, which doesn't exactly happen too often. So I'm very interested to see if anything important that he has to say. So supposedly that's happening. And as far as Travis Williams is concerned, I don't really have any strong opinions on him. Now, if you hear people such as Dejan Kovacevic who raves about him, they said that he did a very good job with the Pittsburgh Penguins. With their business side, and I would assume that he would be more so involved on the business side. My question is, will he keep Neil Huntington as the GM? Because supposedly Nutting gave Travis Williams the power to essentially choose his own guys. So I'm not convinced that Huntington is exactly safe right now. I mean, under a new regime, hell, we saw with Pitt's new AED. How long did it take before Kevin Stallings was out? And like Heather,
I can talk about this.
Yeah. So yeah,
very quickly.
Yeah,
things seem like they're turning around.
Yeah. So
basketball wise.
Oh yeah, like just speaking with that program specifically, like that program was essentially dead. It was dead. Like Kevin Stallings nearly destroyed, like, to be honest, one of the best basketball programs that Jamie Dixon and before him Ben Hallen had built. But
consistent programs.
Yeah, consistent programs. Now I'm getting off topic here, but basically, my point being is just based off of what typically happens when there is a restructure within the organization, especially with top executives, there's typically some change, and I do feel like that there needs to be change. Neil Huntington needs to be fired. Like, it's just, this team has played too poorly. There are way too many off-field incidents during the season. Like, how many fights do we see? Let's not even bring up the whole Felipe Vasquez situation. So if there is a cleansing, there's a cleansing that needs to be done. It needs to be facilitated. It needs to be executed. There's really no excuse why this man should still have a job. Like, it's just that simple. So I'm praying that we get a clean slate. We get a a management team that's actually going to try and win and try to scout and develop players. I mean, I can't tell you how many players have come through this system who play poorly and went elsewhere and have played amazing. I mean, like let's not even get started with that. I mean, like we have talked about that. That is on record. So, you know, I'm sick of this franchise being a freaking joke. I mean, that they are the butt of this city. Like when they talk about Pittsburgh sports, the absolute last team that you ever hear about is the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's always Steelers, Penguins. Hell, Pitt Sports is now over the Pittsburgh Pirates right now as far as relevancy right now. I do think that this can be a great baseball town, but when you get like a team like this with a management team that clearly shows that they really aren't serious about winning, you know, it's a very dead fan base right now. So, all right, I think I talked about that long enough. There was also some other baseball news.
While you have your opinions on the team on this side of the state, some changes are going on over in Philadelphia.
That's right.
The Phillies got a new manager.
Yep, Joe Girardi. Now, after being out of baseball for 2 or 3 seasons, the former manager of the New York Yankees has been hired by the Philadelphia Phillies to be their new manager. I always felt that with Joe Girardi, I felt that he got a really raw deal in New York. I never really quite understood why that just didn't work. So supposedly it was a whole analytical thing, and Brian Cashman and him just didn't quite see eye to eye. And when they hired Aaron Boone, it was just a better fit, or that was the gist of it to some Yankee fans that I spoke with. So you know, I always felt that he was a really good manager, whether he was in Florida or in New York or wherever. I mean, he knows how to relate to players. He manages his team extremely well. You know, I mean, it's a very high profile big league hire, and for a franchise that had a lot of expectations last year. I mean, they signed Bryce Harper to one of the biggest contracts in baseball history, and he was, to be quite frankly, a disappointment last year. They signed big free agents who really haven't panned out. Jake Arrieta might be one of the biggest free agent blunders, because outside of those first 2 seasons that he had with the Cubs, he has been, I mean, pretty average. He has reverted back to being
pre-Cub
Arrieta. Yep. So I mean, he's like nothing special, and I mean, kudos to him. He cashed out. He
yeah,
had that mega contract, and now I mean, I believe he has 2 or 3 years left on that deal still. So I mean, you know, congrats to him. But yeah, the Phillies are on top of that, are in a pretty competitive division with both Atlanta, and even though with the Mets that they are up and down, they still played them pretty hard on the Phillies. So yeah. So Matt, any thoughts on that there?
I if he has any remote of success that he had with New York, it's a good hire.
Yep.
I don't see how you can say no.
It's a very strong personality too.
Phillies were playing good. They got, like you said, Harper. They got good pieces in play. They have McCutchen. Yep. Even though he's hurt,
who was coming off a torn ACL, and losing him was pretty big too.
Right. They have the pieces. They have I think the management, the payroll. They're a bigger market team So if they get the pieces right, I think he's going to be a good manager. We'll see what happens in the off season, but I think the Phillies are going to be right there. I know the last couple years, maybe pre Harper, they've been near the bottom. They haven't been as good as late 2000s, early 10s, if you will. And but I think they're going to be a contender in terms of making the playoffs next year. Absolutely. So, I mean, I would have loved maybe to see. I thought he would come. Just a pipe dream, him to come here to replace. That would be, if you wanted. I could talk about this. If you wanted a good impact move for the Pirates fan base, because it's no surprise, like we talked about the last couple years and before 2013, that the Pirates were not a winning baseball club. That's no secret. So at least for optics, even if you just interviewed him, and if you hired him, I think would have been a good move. We'll see who the Pirates get, but regardless, moving on. To sum it up, Girardi is, in my opinion, again, good hire, excellent hire for the Phillies.
Yep, absolutely. All right, and we'll discuss a little bit of the World Series. Pretty surprising so far. Not gonna lie. Gerrit Cole, and both Justin Verlander, they have played terrible. The bats of the Nationals have just come alive. 5 runs in game 1, and they
is it more than 12?
In like game 1.
Yeah, but I was saying in 12 in game 2.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and 12 runs in game 2. I can't really figure it out. I mean,
I would have never have guessed,
especially for how unhittable that Gerrit Cole was. I mean, like, he had not lost a game, I believe, since like May 22nd, and apparently, like, he hadn't given up an earned run since August 28th.
Something stupid.
And like his ERA was like 0.44 or something like that. It was like just the numbers he was putting up at a ridiculous rate. And then the Nationals come into town, who had just swept the St. Louis Cardinals. I thought that with the long layoff that would actually hurt them. But that proved to be.
I thought Cole and Verlander 1-2 would hurt them.
I thought Gerrit Cole pitching, being able to pitch on 3 separate occasions would be a problem. But now, it's forcing the Astros. They have to win 2 of the 3 games now in DC just to stay alive right now. Like, that's. I never expected this.
If you told me the Nationals would be 2 up on the Houston Astros in the World Series, right, having faced Cole and Verlander, I would ask what drugs you were on.
And outscoring them 17 17-7 in 2 games. Like,
no.
It's
at best I could probably see him 1-1. The series tied.
Yeah, which even for me it was like, okay,
because you have Strasburg on the Nationals. Yeah. I mean, Verlander's now, could give up a couple hits too, but it could be a close game, but not 12 to whatever.
And what also has hurt the Nationals as well is with the Astros. What has really hurt them, they have not hit well with guys in scoring position. I think I read that their average was like hitting 138 or somewhere in that ballpark. And when you're hitting that bad, I mean, that kind of adds to that. But also when you give up 12 runs like that, I mean, you're not going to be winning too many bowl games. So game 3 I believe is tomorrow, right, Matt?
It should be.
Yeah. Which it's going to be Zach Greinke versus Anibal Sanchez, I believe. So virtually a must win for the Astros. If they don't win this game, it's done. I don't even think they would
come back from 3-0.
I really don't see it even with for how well that the Nats are hitting right now, and I think just to the Nats are proving they are a really good fastball hitting team, and what do Verlander and Cole throw a ton of fastballs. So I mean they're just hitting them. So we'll see how that goes along. I'm very interested to see how the Astros will respond here. All right, let's get into some NFL talk. Not too much to talk about, but just some important things. Probably the biggest thing that happened last week was the injury to All-Pro quarterback Patrick Mahomes.
The Madden curse lives.
And the Madden curse lives, and trying to kill my fantasy team on top of that. But it turned out to be the results of the MRI was the best case scenario, where he's only projected to miss around 3 weeks. Although this week Mahomes was actually back at practice, so I still don't think that he will play this week. But who knows? Maybe he'll play next week. But I'm very interested to see how all this unfolds, because the fact that he's even back on the field is pretty impressive to me. The Eagles just got absolutely annihilated on Sunday Night Football last week. That game, just kind of remind me of just how bad that the NFC East is. I mean, to me, the winner of that division, like the AFC North, they could only have 8 or 9 wins. Just both teams are really not that impressive. When the Cowboys started playing some decent competition, they weren't winning as many games or any games for that matter, and losing that game in New York to the freaking Jets of all teams.
How?
Especially too after you saw that Jets team against the Patriots, and my God, did Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, they just broke Sam Darnold and that Jet team. I had never seen when they and why the NFL or ESPN or whoever released this. I mean, they should be fired. They literally released a video of Sam Darnold saying, "I'm seeing ghosts." I'm just I mean, oh my God, just you talk about embarrassment. How would you feel to be a Jet fan right now? So yeah, the Patriots.
I'm glad we're not in New York.
Yeah, right. And with the Patriots, it's clearly them and everyone else right now. Really, the only team that could maybe give them a chance is Kansas City, but I don't trust Kansas City's defense. They really haven't gotten any burn, to be perfectly honest. I think that they got worse. So I mean,
like our NFL predictions a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Until again it happens, I would pick the Patriots in the Super Bowl this year. Tell me with a straight face who you confident in the AFC who can beat them.
AFC, no. NFC,
nobody.
NFC,
nobody.
NFC, I could see some teams who could beat them. Like the Saints, I give them a really good chance, but
I think anybody. Well, not. Let me say this. I think anybody in the NFC who makes it to the Super Bowl, if that makes sense, I think can beat them because there's actually competition.
Well, there are a few teams who I think would give them some problems. Definitely the San Francisco 49ers, because as we have seen with past Patriots teams, that offensive line is, in my opinion, still a question mark, and especially when we saw that 49ers defense in San Francisco when the Steelers went over there, like they are a handful. When you have guys like D Ford and Buckner and like Nick Bosa, like they're going to cause havoc. So I feel like I would give them a really good shot. I mean, just with that whole NFC West alone is just murder's row. Like you got the Rams, you got the Seahawks, you got the Niners, which it would not surprise me if somehow the NFC West had 3 playoff teams there. So I think that's very possible. The last thing, and this was really disheartening. The Seattle Seahawks had one freaking job: beat the Ravens on your home turf, where you are really hard to beat, and the Ravens just beat them up. Russell Wilson did not play too well through that awful pass where like Marcus Peters took it to the house at the end of the first half. It just, as a Steelers fan, it was disheartening because now they're up 2 games on us, and if they would have beaten the Ravens, that means that the Steelers would have been only 1 game back with a win over the Dolphins this week. So it just very frustrating, to say the least. Up. And now the Ravens are on the bye. Cleveland will be going to Foxborough to face the Patriots. The NFL never a dull week, to say the least.
Even if it's 2 games out, I still don't. Even though the chances go down for the Steelers, I think the way this season's going in the AFC North, I don't think they're really out of it, because you have one more game with the Ravens at Baltimore. It's going to be a tough at Baltimore.
Not yet.
So I can take it to 1 if they lose and we win, because our schedule gets relatively easier starting with this week with the Miami. So, oh my God, if we lose to Miami, it's over.
Oh yeah, like if this team needs to start to rack off someone's, like they have Miami this week. Next week it's home versus Indy, and then home versus the Rams. So in my opinion, they need to win all 3 of those games. To give themselves a shot, they need to win all 3 of those games. I give them a great shot being at home. So we'll see. Let's get into some UFC talk here. Some big news came down in regards with the main event for UFC 244, which this really bummed me out. But I will So Nate Diaz posted on his Twitter account that basically he's pulling out of the main event because of the shadiness in regards with USADA, because supposedly Nate's testosterone levels were heightened due to a tainted supplement, which is kind of funny to me, because like this has been a relative issue with USADA. Matt, I'm going to like read you this. This is according to Josh Gross, senior writer for The Athletic. And he states in a tweet, USADA has conducted roughly 13,000 tests under the UFC anti-doping program. Around 100 fighters have tested positive. Half of them they were related to tainted supplements, according to USADA you saw the president Jeff Nowinski. The UFC plans to unveil an updated policy addressing the issue within the next few weeks. And like, I still like, you saw that. I mean, like, I get like with the UFC, they wanted to make this thing completely clean, get out all of the cheating and stuff. Fine, but when they're finding like the absolute smallest traces of stuff in are having guys pop. Now like Nate Diaz, Matt. Mm-hmm. When you look at like Nate Diaz, do you think he even does he even cross your mind that he would be possibly doping?
Just by looks, just like steroids now.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it really just bums me out. It frustrates me. Like, there has been just so many problems when you go and all the way back with like Jon Jones and his whole situation with tainted supplements. Like, supposedly he tested like hot because of penis pills and stuff like that. It's just like, it's just the most weirdest things are tainted in these supplements, and like, and some of them are kind of weird, but I'm so bummed out, because if this sticks and Nate Diaz is indeed out for this card, it's gonna really hurt that buy rate. And there's even some rumors of them talking about possible replacements. And to be honest, unless it's Connor, like there's nothing that's going to save this card, just because outside of Connor, Nate is probably the UFC's biggest draw right now. Jon Jones is probably third, so I'm hoping that they get this figured out, because you know, the biggest losers out of all this are definitely are the fight fans. So I'm hoping that they get this figured out here. But in other UFC news, we had some more fights announced. Jose Aldo versus Marlon Moraes was announced for the UFC 245 show. It was also announced that Uriah Faber versus Peter Yan will also be on that same card. That I was a little bit surprised when I saw that, just because Uriah Faber fought a good contender, but man, like, this is a really big step up in competition. I really don't like the fight with him, to be perfectly honest. Peter Young is a killer. He's been going through guys. I believe he's like ranked in the top 5, maybe the top 7 at 135. So I'll be honest, I'll be kind of surprised if Uriah Faber wins that fight. At like his age and stuff. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I think that's going to be extremely tough. And we also had Connor back in the news again. Now like last week, it was reported that a second woman was filing charges, and I believe Connor actually got charged with a second count of sexual assault. He needs to get his life in order, man. And like, he was at a press conference in like Moscow. Basically, he said that he wants to fight on January 18th. And supposedly Dana came out and said, yeah, we were kind of thinking of that date, but I don't think that's going to happen, just because with his pending issues with the law right now, I don't think that the UFC is going to even consider a fight. Now, supposedly, if a fight does happen, the two top contenders are going to be Cowboy Cerrone and Justin Gaethje, which both of those fights are not easy fights now. Out of those two, I'd probably give Conor a better chance against Cowboy, but against Gaethje, who has just been knocking dudes out left and right, he just annihilated Cowboy in his last fight. He annihilated Barbosa, destroyed James Vick. Like, guy hits extremely hard. He's younger. He's more hungrier. He's more focused. That would be a very, very tough fight for Conor. So we'll see where that goes. And we also have a few cards this weekend for the UFC. Ben Askren versus Damian Maia. I'm not particularly interested in that fight. That's over in Singapore. I feel like this is a very important fight for a Ben Askren coming off that brutal flying knee knockout from Jorge Masvidal. So I do think that Ben will probably win here by unanimous decision. Hopefully he wins. He desperately needs a win here to hopefully sooner rather than later get back into that title picture. We'll see how that goes. And over in Bellator, there are two separate cards. One tomorrow night and one on Saturday night. The for night one, that is being headlined in a heavyweight bout between Frank Mir versus Roy Nelson. I'm not sure who really wins here. If I had to pick one, I guess I'll go with like Roy. Both guys I feel are kind of past their are well past their primes, but to me, the difference here, Roy Nelson's chin is better, and Frank Mir has really never had one, and that's kind of where I feel that the fight is going to be decided. So I'll go with Frank Mir. Phil Davis is also on this card. I'll be excited to see him fight. I would imagine that he'll probably win. Ed Ruth, who was in the welterweight Grand Prix, he'll be fighting on this card. Be interested to see him. And for the Saturday night card, and also I forgot to talk about as well Jake Ager, who the like newly signed AEW signing Jake Ager will also be fighting on Friday night.
Going for 3-0, right?
Yep. He would be going for 3-0. I'm interested to see how he has improved. I do wonder how much more he'll actually be fighting with him signing with AEW. Will he be like fighting less, or will he be fighting at the same pace? But I think regardless, for both AEW and Bellator, it's actually good for both companies because it's like drawing some of both of those audiences there. So hey, maybe not a terrible thing. So I would expect, and hopefully he will continue his winning ways, because what they're doing on AEW with him is pretty special. So but we'll get into that once we get to the wrestling talk. But onto the Saturday night card. So this is being headlined for the welterweight Grand Prix final. Winner gets $1 million, and on top of that becomes the Bellator welterweight champion. It's between Rory McDonald versus Douglas Lima. Their first fight was a really close fight. And like even McDonald said, like that was probably one of his tougher fights. Like he barely scraped by Lima. Lima is no joke. Like, I see too many times UFC fans bragging on Bellator's competition, but I definitely feel for sure if Lima was in the UFC, he would be a top 5 guy. He is that good. He kicks that hard. He's such a polished guy, such a tough guy, and that's who I'm picking here. Lima to me seems the more hungry guy, the more focused guy. Where as with like McDonald. I feel like that he has 1 foot out right now. So we'll see how that goes. But right now I'm leaning towards Douglas Lima. Paul Daly's also on this card. I'll be happy to see him fight again. And I don't believe that we have anything else worth mentioning there. So, so it'll be a pretty exciting weekend for fights in regards to mixed martial arts. Now, I believe it's time to talk about our wonderful experience at AEW Dynamite.
I'm back, guys. I wasn't sleeping through that whole UFC talk.
No. So
I'm actually here.
Yeah,
he's
actually here. I gotta say that was probably the most fun event that I've been to outside of going to my like first Mania. NXT Takeover in like New York was incredible, and obviously when the Royal Rumble came into Pittsburgh back in 2014. Matt, how would you describe your experience?
It was fun. I can't lie. It was a good experience. It was a good show. A lively crowd. Very good crowd.
And like mostly sold out outside of the tarp.
Up the top, and little empty seats up and across from the camera, and maybe even by the hard camera side. But regardless, it for what it was, and I couldn't tell people sitting above us, but I feel like that was mostly sold out.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a good crowd. From what I'm seeing, it looked good on TV.
Yeah, I asked like 3 of my Twitter friends who all said the crowd came off really well off of TV. They were lively, and man, like they really kicked it off with a freaking bang, man. I mean, that match with the Lucha Brothers versus Private Party, holy shit. That's pretty much all that you would have to describe there, Matt. Just like balls to the wall, just high spot after high spot after high spot. I freaking loved it, and I know like it got so much hate on Twitter. Like there's so many of those wrestling fans who hate those matches. It like I was on the edge of my seat from start until finish. Just crazy back and forth stuff. I'm glad that they I mean, I think it was pretty clear that they made the right call with the Lucha Brothers going over here. I think with Private Party, they definitely have a lot of potential, but I do feel that they are still a little bit of green.
They need time.
They need time, and like they do draw similarities to the Street Profits, but I think it's pretty clear, at least from a charisma perspective. And Matt and I talked about this last night. Is like the Street Profits, I feel,
blow them away.
Yeah, are at a different level. However, from an athleticism standpoint, Private Party, I think, are clearly better, and more so where it tips the scale is Angelo Hawkins really isn't that physical specimen. Like he's more of a grounded guy, so that I think is what tips the scales there. But definitely they have built up Private Party really well. They're like now fans know about them. Like they beat the Bucks. They went toe to toe with the Lucha Brothers. I can't really complain. And to be honest, I do feel that the team I would want to be tag team champions right now is probably the Lucha Brothers. And I'm thankful that SCU beat the Dark Order. The Dark Order is not over. They got a very minimal reaction when they came out, and I even asked my friends how they came off of TV, and they said it was pretty quiet. So, like, we don't know who the Dark Order actually is. What is so dark about them? We don't know. They just have a lot of random people around the ring, and that's about it.
And I'm gonna go off of that point in a minute, but the first match, there was things during that match that I haven't seen before. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty. It was
Phoenix is a damn cheat code.
it was an awesome display of athleticism. It was good. It was enjoyable. Mm-hmm. Good way to start off the show, mm-hmm. and to go off the point of the next match, the SCU Dark Order match. Once Jericho in his inner circle,
no one gave a crap about that match.
No,
like it just.
But the funny thing was at one point near the end, everybody was chanting "This is awesome," mm-hmm. which shows you how diluted that chant gets.
Yeah,
it was
fickle.
Okay, Dan O'Brien. I mean, at the end there were some good spots, but everybody, like, I was always just watching Jericho.
I did not care about that match at all. I was just hoping that this match would end soon. Of course, that it didn't, but thankfully the correct team won. And to me, they need to go with the Lucha Brothers as the new tag team champions. To me, they are probably the hottest act that they got as far as tag champs are concerned. And I'm not. To me, SCU being baby faces, I just don't think really suits them. Like, to me, they should be heels, whereas with the Lucha Brothers, they should be the cool and the badass tag team, because just like fans are not going to boo those guys. They look way too damn cool, way too damn badass, and like I mean, like, I have not seen a crowd for any time that I see Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. I never see them ever get booed. So, and whereas with SCU, you have both of Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels, who are all really good talkers. And if you saw Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels in TNA, like, those guys can talk. Like, they can get over as heels. I feel like that's probably where they should go, in my opinion. But the finals are set, and was also announced for next week for the finals that actually the Rock and Roll Express would be presenting the winner of with a new tag title. So I immediately thought of like Jim Cornette. I was like, gee, I wonder what a Corny thinks about this. But yeah, so that is set for next week. And moving on with the show here. Oh, yeah, Matt, do you have any more to add there?
Well, we're still gonna move on. Mm-hmm. It was a mega
George Janela
match. Now, during this match, a lot of this I don't remember, because we were talking about how this was a criticism up to the point that
way too much wrestling.
It was way too much wrestling, and I was getting like out of it.
Annoyed, yep.
Because it was just too much. There was no. We'll talk about. There was no promo stuff. No, it was just wrestling. And if you're just watching the show there with just wrestling, like, there's no. You need something to break it up.
Well, we need to find out more who of these guys are, like who are Pentagon Jr. and Ray Phoenix, who are Private Party. Like, to me, throughout this whole tag tournament, there needed to be video packages. Like AEW has their core audience. They're always going to be there. But if you want to make new fans, you need to show those new fans who these people are. Now, they have done a really good job in building up Chris Jericho and Cody, and we'll get into that segment shortly here. But like, I had no reason to care about this match with Kenny versus Joey Janela. It was a really good match, but it was entirely predictable because no one thought like, oh, that freaking Joey is gonna win here. So I mean, and these two had already wrestled, I believe, last week or 2 weeks ago on AEW Dark. So there really wasn't any intrigue there. So to me, they just need to do a better job in formatting these shows, more promos, interviews, video packages, so in which they're all fixable. So
right, but yeah, at that, up to that point in time, it was just like I was out of the match because we were having a conversation,
and then this segment happened.
Yes,
man,
turn the show around.
Turn the show around. This segment with the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, LAX, and Sammy Guevara. They're up on the press level, having
the new press level in this arena.
Having a little bit of the bubbly. And Chris Jericho throwing popcorn at fans.
I think he was throwing popcorn when Cody Rhodes had that segment when he was in the ring with Tony Schiavone. He was just throwing popcorn.
Yeah. And
I think it was like Cody, from what I can tell from being in the arena.
So basically, this whole thing was about when Cody is trying to cut a promo on his match against Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho is just like heckling him, blowing air horns, and just doing everything to distract him.
I got one question for you, John. Who wears a scarf?
His name is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and he is better than all of you. Yes, he wears a scarf and is badass.
To continue.
But anyways,
not the line of the night. We'll get to that.
No, we'll get to that shortly. But so basically, this eventually leads to Cody said, "Hey, Chris, I realized that you bought a ticket, but this isn't like the other company that we were at. There's not an invisible wall here. Come down and fight." And of course, and it was so predictable. Fans on Twitter like, why are we talking about WWE here? Like, can we just talk about AEW, please? I'm like, I mean, for me, like, I was fine with it. Like, I want the bitterness here, you know. I mean, like, and that goes on like on both sides. Unless your name is Seth Rollins, but I'll get to that. Later. But so yeah, this eventually leads to Chris Jericho saying, "Hey, it's 4-on-1. Like, come up and fight us," you know. And basically, this eventually leads to Dustin Rhodes coming out, to Maxwell Jacob Friedman coming out, and the big surprise of the night, Diamond Dallas Page. I marked out hard for this, man. Like, you did. This was a cool moment. DDP back on TNT after almost 20 years. It was just cool, and this eventually led to all four of them going up to the press box, and Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle hide behind a glass door. So Maxwell Jacob Friedman wraps a scarf around Cody's hand. He punches the glass, and they get into a brawl. And then the best line of the night happened, Matt. God damn it! They destroyed the Dippin' Dots.
Gonna destroy the Dippin' Dots.
Like, that was so hilarious. It was a like I was laughing so hard. I was having so much fun at the time. Like, that was a very well done segment. We need more stuff like that on this show. Like the wrestling itself has been great, and I think what it's going to be showing every single week is like, since these guys are not on the road 5 days a week, you're going to be getting their absolute best every single Wednesday night, which I feel that is pretty cool. That's really exciting. So, yeah, so that really built up Jericho and Cody's match. Like, I'm super hyped for that main event there, Matt. Any more to add about that segment?
It was just a fun segment. Like you said, I need more stuff like that with other people to build stuff, because I feel like the only thing that's built is that match.
Yep.
And maybe to a certain extent,
like Moxley and
Omega. Okay, those are the two. I mean, yeah, those are the two.
Yeah, and as soon as we talked about video packages, before that, we get the Bucks versus the Best Friends. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really into this match.
I think we were still talking. Stop. Yeah,
yeah,
I was in and out. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm basically
a damn thing about this match.
It was a solo match. Bucks win. Didn't really care.
Into it.
But they get on the mic briefly afterwards and say to LAX, we accept. So it looks like we're getting the Bucks versus Santana and Ortiz at Full Gear. That should be a lot of fun. I'm hoping that we get some sort
build on that.
We need a video package or something with Santana and Ortiz, because we know nothing about these guys outside of they are crazy and Chris Jericho loves it. That's literally all that we know about these guys. Like,
because I haven't really seen them before they debuted.
No. Like
I've heard of them.
They had really fun.
But not everybody has.
Right. They had really fun personas in Impact, but like they need to do a better job in like showcasing these characters here. Like just for even 90 seconds, for 2 minutes, just air a video package like describing who these guys are and why we should care. Outside of the fact that they are in the inner circle. Like, hopefully that they do something with that next week. So that's what I'm hoping for. Now this eventually leads to a video package that we've been craving for. A very good, well done 90-second video package on Pittsburgh's own Britt Baker, which we got a better idea who she was, about her upbringing in Pittsburgh. Like, just like simple things like that will definitely help this show out. For sure. It was weird when she came out to her entrance and Steely McBeam came out. I was like, okay, this is kind of weird because I'm not the biggest Steely McBeam fan here, because I always felt that mascot was kind of creepy and kind of weird. But she was in a match, and the match itself I felt was kind of sloppy, and a few friends of mine who were actually at the event felt the same way. I think it's still pretty clear with Brett specifically, she still needs more experience.
She needs somebody who's equal footing, I think
like a Tessa Blanchard,
somebody that can give her a good rub.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the AEW's women's division right now. It's like they really don't have any singular person or veterans outside of probably Awesome Kong.
Like the dark match after the show, for that when we got up and left early because we wanted to see the merchandise table, and when they said Justin Roberts announced 5 minutes remaining or whatever, the crowd cheered.
It's bad, man. And I see so many women in NXT who aren't even on TV. Like, why is Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo not on TV? They've been signed now for, I believe, at least a half a year now. I think they're not even on TV. They're just working they're just working live events.
Maybe they're not ready. I don't know. But does that in any way indicative of still the roster that the people they have are still 10 times better?
Oh, absolutely. Just look at AEW look at NXT's women's division. You got Shayna Baszler, you got Io Shirai, you got both Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox, you got Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae. I mean, I'm like a medium. Like it's from top to bottom is like there's so much talent there, and which just angers me because WWE and NXT have so much talent that they don't know what to do with these women. There's only
good problem to have.
It's a really good problem to have, but man, like if you're AEW, you could like use 2, 3, or 4 of those women right there, like, and I'm praying that when Tessa Blanchard's contract comes up, and we'll talk about this shortly, they need to sign her in the absolute worst way. This division AEW needs a woman to build the division around, and with like Britt Baker, she's just not that person. And no offense to Riho, but
There's Jim Cornette. Riho.
Yeah, I just don't care about her right now. Like I don't see the appeal in her. I know a lot of people like her, but I just don't see anything. But anyways, Britt Baker she wins. Nothing much else to really say. Anything to add about the match, Matt?
No, it was there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was a good showcase for her.
Yeah. So yeah, we had that, and this moves to the main event, between Jon Moxley versus Pac. Now, I've seen so many people who were so pissed off at the finish about this match. Okay, so it ended in a time limit draw. I don't see what the big deal was. You had both guys who are in pivotal feuds right now. Neither guy could afford a loss. This is why implementing time limit draws, I feel, are so beneficial, because now you don't have to do a stupid DQ here. You don't have to have one guy pin the other guy and them coming out of that match looking kind of dumb. So I mean, like, maybe I'm going insane here, but I don't see what the big problem is here. Like, were you really going to have a Moxley lose when he's going to be facing Kenny in 2 weeks? And were you going to have Pac get pinned for the second straight week? I don't think so. So
I forget who said this on Twitter. Was it Jimmy Corderas? Maybe. That I don't have a problem with it. And when you look at it in an objective way, I mean, it kind of like when you're there live, it's kind of like deflating because there's no like big finish, but in a logic storytelling point, it's better for both guys. But what I was saying about Corderas, I think it would have been better if, in my opinion, and I agree with this, that they had Pac, whatever, kick out of, I believe it was Moxley's finish at the very end. I personally would have liked it if the time ran out as he was going to pin, and as he pinned it, he didn't kick out, but the time ran out.
I probably would have liked that better because it would have added more drama, which is another thing that is awesome about the time limit. It adds more drama to every match that AEW has. Like,
were you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the time limit and the simple fact of that if you're taking this show or any wrestling show, professional wrestling, as the appearance of a legit sport, and we all know it's not.
But they want to present it as such.
That you can't. I like that. Not every match, like if this was a shoot, and you're up against the end of the show, in reality, not every match is going to magically end right before the show goes off the air.
Exactly.
So I like the time limit because like any other sport, let's just off the top of my head, hockey, if the puck doesn't cross the line by the time there's zeros on the board, it does not count.
Exactly.
I felt like the same thing with a pin.
Yep.
So in that aspect, I like it. If I had to nitpick, I don't think he should have kicked out of the finisher, because then it kind of devalues the finisher there for a second.
Exactly. And what they have done with like Moxley, like anytime he hits his like Death Rider, his Death Rider finish, no one has kicked out. And I think AEW has done a really good job in protecting guys on finishers. I mean, you look at his, you look at Cody's finisher, at Dustin Rhodes' finish. For the most part, Pac, but yeah, because I think with Pac, I don't think he actually hit his finish onto Moxley. So because I think he rolled out of the one. So
I think when you're on TV, your finisher should be it.
Yep.
You can counter it, but you shouldn't kick out.
And that's been one of many problems I have with WWE. It's just too many guys are kicking out of the guys on finishing moves. It just completely devalues.
I think on a big stage or pay-per-view, once or twice, maybe 3 times, I'll let you slide. Like if you really want to add that dramatic, the drama to it, but I don't think it's a finisher for a reason, and if you hit it, there needs to be a feeling of this is it.
Yeah.
There's a couple times I know in the past we would be watching wrestling, WWE, what have you, and we think it's it, and it doesn't. If you're in the match, we're like, what?
I mean, like, one match that I think of specifically are the series of the matches between AJ versus Cena. Like, those matches had me. Like,
or another thing that comes to mind is like the Undertaker matches. I specifically, first thing, Taker, Triple H, Hell in a Cell, with Shawn Michaels. Perfect storytelling. You think could it be over, but it's not. It's like, oh.
and like too, I had that feeling as well. And you didn't see this match, but Cody versus Dustin at Double or Nothing. Like,
what the hell was I at?
You were.
Where was I at?
What were you doing? Or you were working? Yeah.
Was that a pirate game? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You were working, but my God,
sorry.
like it just the story, the psychology, and all of the spots that were lined up in that just were just a beautiful story. But yeah, it just, and when those finishes hit, I think I wanted to say that the Cody and Dustin kicked out of both, which like made sense. They're brothers, so like I could buy that. So you know what, it was really good. And to cap off the whole entire night, Matt went home absolutely happy, excited for next week's show. I mean, was the show perfect? No, but they give me points and stories where I'm excited to see. Like, for example, that whole thing with like Cody and Brandy, or Cody teased a big announcement, and like Brandy is kind of teasing more as a top heel. I'm hoping that it doesn't turn out like a Triple H and Stephanie thing. That is my hope, but I'm intrigued to see where that goes. At Full Gear, I'm definitely I'm really interested to see what's going to happen here. So
sorry.
There's a lot of interesting points.
And then another criticism is that at the end, once the cameras went off,
why was that Hangman segment not on TV? That made no sense to me.
If you're listening, I guess on a Saturday, maybe you don't know what happened, but at the end of Moxley and Pac, you had
Omega
come out, you had Hangman Page come out, Adam Page come out, and at one point Pac retreated into the crowd, and Adam Page challenged him to a match for Full Gear. And it is, the segment, if it was shortened down and condensed, would have been a good TV segment. Why would you challenge for a match when the cameras are not rolling? Unless they put it on AEW Dark, but that would have been another strong segment to air in the 2 hours you can do that.
Right. And to, like, we could have really have used that, but but as we said, the show isn't perfect, but there are like multiple things that I'm still invested in that it definitely brings me back week to week. Now we'll talk about the ratings now, and then we'll get into the really big thing that happened on NXT this week. But the ratings came in, and honestly, Matt, I expected these ratings to be a lot worse. To be honest, AEW, they were going up against the World Series, and they were going up against the opening week for the NBA. Like they did 963,000 viewers, but they did have a small increase in the 18 to 49 MO. So that was at least good. I'm hoping with them going with less competition next week that the ratings will go up, but
everything's going down.
Mm-hmm, right.
That's the thing.
And that's the thing that
everybody's
concerns
going down.
me. Yeah.
If there is no there shouldn't be a game on Wednesday, is there?
I mean, like, if there is, it would probably be what a game 7, maybe.
Mm-hmm. If it goes down next week,
that's when I would be.
Everybody's going down.
Yeah.
There's the funny thing we said, except for this past week's Raw that went up from week to week, everybody's gone down.
SmackDown has lost.
SmackDown's got how many percent of their premiere? AEW has lost how many percent of premiere? NXT has lost. I don't know if it's just the World Series to blame.
I think partially. I think partially, yes.
Partially, but that's not every night.
But honestly, like I expected a lot worse just because they were going up against the NBA and Major League Baseball. So I guess it was good from that point, and they did really well in the 18 to 49 demo. Whereas with NXT, they got killed yet again in that demo. I mean, and like they fell down all the way down to, what was it, 698,000 viewers. I mean, like,
I gotta find it.
I don't know how much longer that USA can possibly keep them on TV. Now I know that according to Meltzer that they signed like a 2-year contract, and it was being reported that they were getting about like $50 million. But man, like, and we say this every single week, is like NXT had a really good show this week, but again, the problem is like when you look at that show and when you look at AEW wrestling in front of like mostly sold out arenas, like it just like, and NXT just does not look major league at all, and that's the problem. But I'm hoping that these ratings increase, but I am starting to get concerned a little bit. So yeah, but they did 0.45. They did a 0.45 for the 18 to 49 MO. So they at least had a small increase with that there. But Matt, do you have any more to add in regards with the ratings talks here?
It's just going to be interesting to see what happens going into next month. If what show goes up, and do they go up? Because eventually it's obviously not going to go all the way to zero.
No.
But where's it plateau at? It hasn't yet.
Yeah.
And it hasn't gone up.
No. I do,
except for last week that AEW didn't drop much.
No. And even here it didn't really drop too much here. But I do think for next week that they will probably have an increase next week. Hopefully they get back into 1 million viewers, which if they do, and if that's where they are consistently, I think TNT will be pretty satisfied. But also, I found out as well, TNT has been advertising AEW during NBA games, which is pretty big because you don't. I mean, you see it now on like Fox, but with the WWE and them being on SmackDown. So, but this is pretty big advertisement. So hopefully with them, being involved with TNT and getting that advertisement, that will spike a little bit of the viewership there. So, but all right, just going to lightly touch on NXT for one. Yep,
some big news.
Finn Balor.
Nobody saw this coming.
Yeah, he turns heel, and my God, did he look like a freaking killer, a badass in this thing. We're finally getting Prince Devitt, man. I've been waiting for this for a very long time. If you're a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Prince Devitt, from a persona and a mic standpoint, he was cool. He was cool. He was badass. He stood out. I'm very interested to see how this is going to go. Now, some people are saying, "Oh, he joined the Undisputed Era." I was like, by the looks of it, I don't think he joined the Undisputed Era. I'm interested to see where this goes. I mean, pretty clear that he's gonna be feuding with Johnny Gargano by the looks of it. There,
can't wait for that match.
Cannot
wait.
Holy shit, that's gonna be crazy. Whoops. Sorry, buddy. But yeah. So I'm interested to see where that goes because to me NXT needs something right now because they're getting their butts kicked in this ratings war right now, and who knows, maybe with the heel turn of Finn Balor that gives them some steam, but they need to think outside of the box, introduce some more segments. Both of these shows are too wrestling heavy, as I continue to say week after week. But I'm intrigued. I'm excited. Finally Finn not smiling every 25 seconds. I'm most excited about that there, man. How about you?
I'm just interested to see what happens next week and the weeks to come. How his character will develop.
My question is, do you think that there's a scenario one week where they have Finn join the OC and OC comes onto NXT one weekend they have a little program with the Undisputed Era. I feel like that's eventually is going to happen at some point, you know.
It maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that works. The numbers work out.
Yep.
I had to do quick math in my head. I wasn't sure for some reason,
Mm-hmm.
but that would,
yeah,
I think would pop a number.
I think it would too. It would get the people interested, but I'm not sure how much it would help. But hey, you never know. So
I don't think it would. I don't think it can hurt.
No, absolutely not. So, so that was cool.
Things like that would be interesting to see,
Mm-hmm.
to play out. But another thing you can't see play out correctly is if you did this in WWE 2K20. I tried to make that segue work. Holy cheese and crackers, Batman!
Now I'm not a big video game guy, but my God, were the glitches in this game and the freaking rating score, like IGN gave this a 4.3 out of 10
on Metacritic. For the Xbox One version, the user score is 0.5. The PS4 score is 1.5. And thank God, I'm happy as a Switch owner that I didn't get 2K18 2 years ago, because that was a molasses. The game ran like molasses, so slow, it was terrible. And I'm glad they hasn't come out for Switch this year, because from what I'm saying, it is a terrible, glitchy game.
Yep.
The graphics look terrible. I'm not much for somebody who criticizes on the graphics, but I swear to God, from like
they look like they
look like I came up with them.
Yeah, they look like games that were done in 2005.
I looked at screenshots from both W2K20 and Day of Reckoning 2 on the GameCube, which came out, the GameCube, in 2001. I forget what year Day of Reckoning came out. Let me look real quick, just so I have my years. It came out in 2005. Okay? I swear to God, and I'm looking, the character models on this game back in 2005, more than 10 years ago, almost look better than the character models and of a video game in 2019.
What a train wreck! Like there's
no glitch. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
how is it this bad? It's like Take Two Sports, whatever, or 2K, wherever the company is. They had no time or just doesn't care. And this is the only video game, WWE game in town. Back in the day, like for PlayStation, you had Here Comes the Pain. You had games like Day of Reckoning. You had different games by different companies for different systems, and like people regard like Here Comes the Pain's good. Even on the N64, people regard No Mercy as one of the best video games, one of the top. Hell, even the WCW NWO game, which I've never played, everybody talks relatively high on. But you get this game and you have glitches where somebody's just going around the ropes like crazy. I don't know if you've seen it. Like, why?
Or one of the referees doing a sex job onto Charlotte there. I mean, like it just like and that was like two of the biggest gaps that we saw. Like it just. And I saw a few with Becky where her title went invisible and was like somehow on her back when she was holding her arm up where the title was on her shoulder. It's just like for a big company like 2K, this is like a disaster. And I guarantee you that the execs in WWE have to be furious.
They make NBA 2K, and that game, nobody here talks about how bad the game is. That game runs smoothly, even on the Switch, which is lacking power because of it's a mobile pretty much system, but it runs just as smooth. It looks almost as good as the Xbox and the PlayStation.
Right.
If that can happen, how in God's blue hell can't you make a wrestling game that works? 2K needs to get off of this. I want a different company to do a video game, wrestling game. Mm-hmm. Because I swear, when they took over, I swear just the look of the game just looked like crap. It looked lazy. Mm-hmm. It looks terrible. Yeah. And I'm not saying it has to be ultra photorealistic, but I mean, I just think 2K games just don't look good in general. I mean, I've had a 2K NHL on, I believe, the Wii, and I know it was the Wii, but they looked cheap. Everybody looked the same, and it's terrible. I wish like EA or somebody could pick it up, but EA with microtransactions, you would probably have to pay to have every freaking thing unlocked. God, no, I take that back. Don't want EA, but somebody else. It's just, there's somebody could probably do it, some other third party, but it's just ridiculous. I've never played a 2K wrestling game, but I can't because the game is a glitchy mess of a thing. And thank God that Sony is giving out refunds apparently to owners of that game, because that game is so bad, and that's just terrible press. They should take a year off and make a game that actually works, because it's ridiculous. And if I'm, like you said, if I'm WWE, how can you promote this glitchy mess of technology? It's terrible. It just hurts the brand of your company.
Speaking of hurting the brand of your company,
segues. We're kicking with gas.
My guy, Seth Rollins.
I'll let you have this.
Oh my God, Matt, you better have your paper ready, because I'm gonna be swearing a bit here.
Let me get the notepad.
Okay. This toll. Seth Rollins. Oh boy.
I don't think we can air this.
What else? What? It's something new every single week with this guy. Whether he's ragging on his former brother, formerly Dean Ambrose, now like Jon Moxley, for leaving the company, for going to having a better quality of life, not having to work constantly, making some good money. He's doing very well for himself in AEW. And of course, Seth couldn't keep his mouth shut, and a fan, he was at like some Comic-Con or convention or whatever over the weekend or late last week, where he was asked like would you ever want to get in the ring with Kenny Omega? He said, yeah, when Kenny Omega is done, over there at the minor leagues, and wants to be in the biggest company, the best company, making the most money, blah blah blah. I just, why is he saying this stuff? I mean, if it was anyone else, I would probably brush it under the rug. But this man he cannot shut up. Like, he handles social media terribly. He handles out in public terribly. I mean, it's bad when you have good old JR calling you out to basically, in other words, shut up. He said, like, you have a great position in the company, keep our name out of your mouth, sort of thing. And I talked about earlier, like, how I was fine with the bitterness between both companies. Well, that includes anyone except for Seth Rollins, because like I'm not sure whether it's the pressure or what, but he just cannot continue to not make a freaking ass out of himself. Like it's week after week. Like can like Becky, his family, his friends around him just tell him to shut the hell up. Like he's getting more and more hated every single week. Like I mean, like it's getting to the point now where like it's pretty close where he could be worse than than what Roman was when he was getting his monster push. And now I would gladly accept the monster Roman Reigns push, because that means we would not have Seth just flooding our TVs every single week, and a man who I feel like is feeling the pressure. He's getting exposed, and the fans have turned on him. And like and there's so many apologists out. I mean specifically on Raw, like if you see someone criticize Seth Rollins, his freaking fanboys and fangirls, they come out of the freaking floodworks, man. I mean, like, I get it. You are a fan of the guy, fine, whatever. But if we're bringing up facts, legitimate facts about this guy and why he sucks, why his character sucks, and you still think that he's good, then kiss my ass. Like, that whole with him and Wyatt, it was some of the worst storytelling I have ever seen, and they have destroyed the Firefly Funhouse last week, and of course only for that to come back a week later, and like when he was beating up poor Bray Wyatt, who was essentially portraying a sympathetic babyface, and Seth was coming off more as a heel. A lot of fans thought that was a heel turn. That actually wasn't a heel turn. It was I'm not sure what that was, but point being, Seth Rollins sucks. I'm sick of him. I could care less. Like, if he gets completely buried, like that's essentially where I am with Seth right now. He is now Roman to me in 2015, and I got really sick of the whole Roman thing in 2015. But this has been way worse, because Seth, in my opinion, has been pushed way harder than what Roman was back then, because unlike Roman, Seth actually pinned Brock Lesnar on 2 separate occasions in like 4 months. So I'm going to end my rant on that, because I hate this man right now, Matt. If you couldn't tell. Anything to add there, sir?
No, I don't want to tarnish the rant by having my irrelevant opinion.
You are my co-host. You have a relevant opinion, Damian Sandow.
My opinion is that I don't care.
Yeah, I
don't care what he said. I honestly don't.
Yeah. But, okay, final thing here that I want to touch on. There was some bogus report of Tessa Blanchard's contract being up. I think it was like WrestleTalk.com reported this. I believe that there's some TV talk show over in the UK or something like that. I could be wrong about that, but essentially this rumor was shot down by Sean Ross Sapp, who reported that Tessa Blanchard's contract with Impact Wrestling actually goes through the summer. So at least for now, she's here. She's going to be in Impact for the short term. I've said this on past podcasts. I don't think that she's going to be re-signed there. I mean, she's been there now for about 2 years now. And I feel like that she's quite honestly done everything that she could. And once she gets on the free agent market, WWE and AEW are going to be going after her hard. Like, in my opinion, Tessa is the best women's wrestler in the world right now, from a persona standpoint, from a promo standpoint, from an in-ring perspective, a look perspective. She is the complete package. Like, she is the woman that I feel that AEW desperately needs more than anyone. Like, to me, she would get completely lost in the shuffle in WWE.
If she was on the main roster, probably maybe NXT.
Even in NXT, like, there are so many talented women in there. Whereas,
I think the most benefit for a company would be AEW. I think it's a desperate need, but
also to her own father works for AEW as well. So I think that will also be a factor.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, and to, like, she has, like, friends who work in AEW as well, and obviously in WWE. But she did not have a very good experience when she was in the Mae Young Classic. Like, she talked about that on Chris Van Vliet's interview that was done a few days ago. And if you have not seen that, I encourage you all to see that. She talks about how she never really wanted to get into wrestling, and Matt, I also did not actually know this. She was actually in, like, a Paige's movie, as I believe as Paige's stunt double there.
I think so.
Yeah. So she was on that, and also found out she's actually really tight with The Rock as well. So, like, he gave her really great advice as far as working out and going through wrestling and everything. So I think, from a star standpoint, she definitely needs to sign with AEW, because to me there's more upside her going there, whereas in WWE I feel like she would never get to that certain height, because, and as we've seen specifically with the main roster, it doesn't matter how good you are, they will find a way to bring you down a peg. And even on the main roster, they have talent, but they push the same 4 women every single time: Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, and Bayley. Like, and whereas nothing else really feels like it actually matters. So I'm hoping when she eventually does leave Impact that she becomes all elite. But Matt, I think we have about come to the end here. So would you like any more to add before I send us home?
I think we're good. We had a lot to talk about. We're running a little bit longer than usual.
Yeah,
we have a lot to talk about.
I feel like that we say that every single week. But,
yes,
but
sooner or later it's gonna be 2 hours.
But for the
not.
future, guys, Matt and I are planning on doing a podcast after AEW Full Gear.
You think we're doing live or not?
I think we should do taped for right now, but because we don't have enough subscribers and stuff, I feel that it's really worth doing that right now.
Burying our show.
Well, I mean, just being honest here.
Well,
but
maybe live can, I don't know. People could find it. I don't know.
Yeah, which either or I'm fine with, but yeah. So we're planning on doing that. Obviously we are going to be doing our weekly podcasts, which are going to be dropping on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Always try to get that with my schedule easing up.
Yeah.
With high school football season coming to an end, and not going to the playoffs of my team, I'll have more time to make sure I get stuff out, get clips out. Yeah, because I think we had a good time with clips. We're doing better than the actual full episode. And
I think that's probably and expect more of that. So So you guys know the drill here. Comment, subscribe, hit the bell for when future videos are uploaded.
Like the video. Like it.
Like the video, share it, blah blah blah. Well, that will do it for this week, guys. Thank you for watching, and we will be back next week. So have a good night.